In the darkness of the night and the cold wind, a serious car accident occurred on an empty road. The driver was trapped in the overturned car, unable to rescue himself. But when all hope seemed to fade, a loyal friend appeared, a brave hunting dog, ready to do whatever it took to save the victim's life. Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like this video, and turn on notifications. Late at night, the road was quiet, with only wheels rolling over the gravel and headlights flickering through the dark. Jake, a 34-year-old man, tiredly drove home after a long, non-stop day at work in the city. Every second that passed, he felt his body growing more exhausted. The drowsiness was becoming heavier. His eyes grew blurry after hours of concentrated driving. Each slight bump of the tires on the gravel road made his head spin even more. But he pressed on. Snow began to fall lightly, covering the road and making it slippery. In his dazed state, a sharp curve suddenly appeared before Jake. He tried to slow down, but his tired body couldn't react fast enough. The steering wheel slipped, and the car began to lose control, skidding off the main road. The screech of the tires on the slick road and the hard impacts sent the entire vehicle off course, plummeting straight into a desolate forest, and then flipping over into a stream. The sound of shattering metal, breaking glass, and the loud crash as the car hit the rocks echoed like an explosion in the dark. Everything around him suddenly fell silent. Only the sound of water splashing against the car's body, with small sparks still shooting out from the engine. Jake slammed into the steering wheel, his body unable to move anymore. A sharp pain radiated from his head to his entire body, and blood started to flow from a wound on his head. But he could do nothing but try to breathe. The car door was jammed. Tilted to one side, and escape was impossible. He knew he couldn't save himself. Jake felt panic rise. His vision blurred, and his body grew colder from the winter night chill. He desperately tried to call for help, but there was no one, no sound, except the flowing water and the wind whistling through the branches. Everything became hazy, and in his despair, he felt as though he had been completely abandoned. "Who will save me?" Jake thought in his mind, but there was no answer. Jake didn't know that a loyal creature was on its way in the forest's darkness, ready to face any danger to save him. Titan, a large, strong, and courageous hunting dog, was a member of the local rescue team, explicitly trained for emergency search and rescue, from finding missing people to helping in car accidents. Titan's instincts were sharp and more sensitive than most dogs. Tonight, as usual, Titan was out walking with his owner, a firefighter, through the forest near the highway. The scene in the forest was quiet, and the night air carried an intense coldness that was hard to describe. They walked through the dimness, Titan's paws silently crunching on the snow-covered ground. Even though Titan was familiar with the forest, he was always alert, with his bright eyes vigilant to unusual movements. Suddenly, Titan stopped, listening intently to a strange sound, a strange scent filling the air. The atmosphere shifted abruptly, different from the usual walks. The smell of blood and panic made Titan sense that something was wrong. The dog doesn't hesitate. Its rescue instincts emerge immediately. Without hesitation, the rescue instincts within Titan immediately kicked in. The dog dashed toward the main road, hearing the wind whistling through the trees, and instantly realized it was heading in the right direction. The direction of the crashed car. Titan rushed through the forest, the smell of blood and chaos growing more distinct. The dog didn't need any guidance. It simply ran on instinct, entirely focused on its goal, saving a life. Dashing through the dark forest, Titan soon approached the overturned car. The car was shattered, its headlights off, and everything was engulfed in darkness. The dog paused momentarily, observing the car trapped in the stream. Then Titan's bark broke the silence. First came a sharp, short bark, followed by a series of continuous, louder barks, as though trying to draw the attention of anyone who could hear. Titan's barking wasn't just a rescue reflex, but also a warning, a signal sent out to attract help. The dog began moving closer to the car, its steps firm and unwavering. The scent of blood grew stronger, and Titan knew someone was in danger. As it approached the vehicle, Titan began inspecting the area, noticing the car door was jammed and couldn't be opened outside. Not stopping there, Titan started scratching at the window's broken glass, its sharp claws scraping around trying to find a way to help. The door still wouldn't open, but Titan didn't give up. Its barking grew louder, more urgent. The dog couldn't get inside the car, but its resilience and dedication to helping Jake pushed it to keep trying. Although it couldn't rescue Jake immediately, the dog kept persevering like a final call. Titan's barking wasn't just a warning signal, but a demonstration of the love and unwavering loyalty Titan felt for its owner. The smell of blood grew stronger, but Titan didn't falter. Though unable to open the car door, the dog persisted and did everything possible to help its friend. Titan's footsteps, barks, and determination created energy, a strong urging that made its owner Harold stop and listen. Titan's small sacrifice would ultimately bring Jake help, which was when the rescue began. Titan's barking, echoing in the dark, seemed relentless. The dog's strong, determined barks shattered the silence of the deserted forest. Those sounds were not just barks, but a clear distress signal warning anyone who could hear that an emergency was unfolding. Titan kept looking toward the overturned car trapped in the cold stream, like a guard dog standing watch without leaving its post. Harold, a middle-aged man living nearby, walked along the small path through the forest. He had passed through here often in late evenings, but tonight was different. Hearing Titan's barks from afar, Harold stopped and listened intently. The barks rang out in the night, like an urgent call for help. He realized this wasn't just a dog playing around or chasing a wild animal. Something far more serious was happening. Harold stopped quietly observing, and suddenly he sensed the unease in the air. Unable to ignore Titan's relentless barking, he moved toward the sound. His footsteps were hurried but cautious, his heart pounding as he approached the incident area. Anxiety grew as he realized this area wasn't just remote, it was too far from the main roads. As Harold got closer, the light from his flashlight illuminated the overturned car by the stream, shattered and leaning to one side. He took a deep breath, trying to suppress the panic rising inside him as he saw the wrecked car and blood smeared on the broken windshield. Jake lay motionless in the car, his eyes tightly shut, his body unresponsive, blood pouring from head and body wounds that seemed to have been there for a while. The ground around the car was marked with blood and snow, evident signs of a severe accident. Titan, the dog, stood beside the car, never taking his eyes off the man inside. Despite the cold and exhaustion, Titan showed no signs of giving up. He barked once more, his voice echoing through the night, making Harold realize with no doubt that this was an emergency. Without a second hesitation, Harold rushed to the car. He quickly assessed Jake's condition and found that he was breathing weakly, blood still flowing from the wound. Harold's hands trembled as he tried to open the door, but it was stuck, unable to open. From outside, Titan stood still, barking intermittently, as if urging Harold to act faster. Harold quickly called 911, his voice trembling with worry. "Please send an ambulance immediately. Someone injured lying motionless in a car needs help right now." His voice was urgent, firm, and a bit frantic. At the same time, Titan stopped barking, but the dog didn't back away. Still standing by the car, eyes fixed on Jake as if protecting his friend, guarding the fragile life extended with every passing moment, Harold didn't leave. He stayed by the wrecked car, trying to keep Jake from going into further shock, comforting him even though he couldn't respond. Occasionally, Harold would look up at Titan, feeling an invisible bond of loyalty and strength. Though a creature without words, this dog did everything possible to protect Jake with every lick of the hand and wag of its tail. And Harold realized that not only was he doing everything he could, but even Titan, the hunting dog, played an essential role in keeping Jake alive through the night. The rescue team had received the information and was on their way, but with each passing second, Jake was growing weaker, though doing everything he could. Harold couldn't stop worrying about how quickly time was slipping by. His only hope now was Titan's relentless determination, the dog that kept watching, never leaving his friend's side. Just a few minutes after Harold called for help, the distant wail of an ambulance siren pierced the eerie silence of the empty forest. The rescue team arrived quickly, rushing out of the ambulance, wearing helmets and reflective jackets. Their faces tense yet determined. Their footsteps echoed on the snowy ground as doctors and medical staff hurried toward the wrecked car. Harold watched as the rescue team approached, his heart tightening with worry. He quickly stood up, waving his hand to signal them, pointing to the car leaning by the creek. Still standing quietly beside the car, Titan never saw Jake. Despite the freezing sky and the biting wind, the dog remained steadfast, its bright eyes following every movement of the rescue team. The dog showed no fear, no signs of anxiety or concern about the presence of strangers. Titan cared only about one thing: protecting its friend. As the rescue team approached the wrecked car, the doctor quickly wrapped a warm blanket around Jake to prevent further hypothermia. The doctor's hands moved speedily but gently as he checked Jake's condition. Water from the creek continued to splash onto the car, but Jake was still breathing, though his breath was very weak, struggling. Another doctor examined the wound on Jake's head, muttering medical terms that Harold couldn't fully understand, but he caught the phrase severe hypothermia echoing through the cold night. Titan didn't move. The dog stayed in position, not barking, not moving, simply observing, its eyes carrying a silent promise. It would never leave its friend. Even though it stood in the freezing dark, its body trembling from the wind and cold, Titan remained unwavering. Every time the rescue team made a move, Titan kept its eyes on them, as if trying to protect Jake from any interference. One doctor knelt carefully, rechecking Jake's condition, then looked at Harold and said, "He's fortunate. Without this dog, we couldn't say what would have happened. Severe hypothermia, blood loss, but at least he's still alive." Harold nodded, his heart filled with gratitude. Words couldn't fully express his thankfulness to Titan. Watching the dog stand there, never leaving its friend, Harold realized that Titan wasn't just a rescue dog, a loyal and steadfast friend willing to do anything to save Jake. Titan was the silent hero of this night, the only protector in the wilderness, the bridge between life and death. The rescue team quickly got to work. An ambulance was called, and the doctors moved Jake onto a stretcher, trying to stabilize him. Titan stood still, not following them, just watching, as if something was unspoken in its heart. But at that moment, everyone present knew that Titan had completed its mission. They all seemed to understand that Titan wasn't just a dog, but an essential part of this journey, the journey to save Jake's life. As the ambulance left, Titan remained standing there, its eyes still fixed, filled with resilience and determination. The forest returned to its quiet state, but an invaluable friendship had been confirmed in that darkness, a bond that could never be broken. When Jake woke up in the hospital, it felt like he had just returned from a long nightmare. The harsh, white light of the lamps in the room irritated him, and for a moment, he could only open his eyes drowsily, trying to grasp the reality around him. His head throbbed, and the dizzying sensation made him close his eyes once again. It felt as if he wanted to take a deep breath, but as soon as he moved, a sharp pain spread throughout his body, forcing him to stop. Before he could understand what had happened, a doctor walked into the room speaking words that Jake couldn't fully comprehend. "Hello, Jake, you're awake!" The doctor said, his gaze gentle yet filled with concern. "You were in a serious accident, but luckily you're still alive." The doctor's words made Jake feel like he had just escaped death. A mix of relief and fear surged through him. But what moved him even more was when the doctor turned and added, "There's a visitor here to see you. Your dog Titan has been by your side the whole time." Jake couldn't believe his ears. It felt as though his whole body had been revived. Memories flooded his mind of the difficult moments of lying unconscious in the wrecked car and how Titan had saved his life. But now Titan was no longer just a rescue dog. He had become a loyal companion, a true friend in Jake's life. As soon as the doctor left, the door to the room opened, and a familiar figure appeared in the space Titan entered, walking steadily, slightly fatigued, but his eyes still bright, as if he knew his friend needed him. Jake saw Titan, and his heart seemed to stop for a moment. Despite the dog's tired body, Titan silently walked up and gently rested his head on Jake's lap, as if to return the gratitude. Jake, though still in pain, couldn't help but smile weakly. "Thank you, Titan," he whispered. "Thank you for saving me." Titan immediately moved closer to the bed, stretching out and softly resting his head on Jake's lap, as if acknowledging that thanks, the dog didn't need to speak a word. The look in his eyes and his closeness made Jake feel an invaluable comfort. Titan wasn't just a rescue dog. He was a true friend. Titan's presence became essential to Jake's recovery in the following days. Every day, Titan visited, standing beside Jake's hospital bed, lying down and quietly staying there, his eyes never leaving his friend. As the days passed, Jake began to feel himself recovering. The loneliness and fear that once gripped him were no longer there. The helplessness of waking up in that stark white room had faded. Jake felt the reassurance and warmth from his loyal companion, who was always by his side. It was during these moments that Titan became more than just a pet. The dog had become a constant companion, always beside Jake, making him feel that he would never have to face his fears alone. Whenever Jake felt down or worried about the future, Titan would lie quietly beside him, doing nothing but looking at him with those gentle and loyal eyes. Jake's nightmares of the accident, of the helplessness he felt lying in the wrecked car, slowly faded away because of the comfort and unconditional love Titan provided. As the days passed, Jake eventually made a full recovery. The wounds on his body healed, and the aches and pains gradually subsided. But what made Jake feel stronger and more energetic than anything else was the constant presence of Titan. Every step he took was no longer alone. A loyal friend was always walking beside him. During his time in the hospital, even though he could only lie in bed, Titan's closeness gave him the strength to endure each difficult moment. When he was finally discharged and returned home, Jake felt as though he had been reborn. He not only recovered physically, but also grew mentally stronger than ever before. His small home no longer felt lonely. Every morning, Jake would wake up to find Titan lying beside his bed, the dog's eyes always full of love and loyalty. Titan was no longer just a rescue dog. He had become Jake's faithful companion, a protector, and the motivation that helped Jake face every challenge in life. One afternoon, as the warm, golden sunlight streamed through the window, Jake sat on the sofa, looking out the window with a sense of peace. Titan, as usual, lay next to him, his head resting on Jake's leg, his warm eyes gazing intently. Jake reached out and gently patted Titan's head, feeling the warmth and the unbreakable connection between the two friends. At that moment, he thought that Titan had saved him once during the accident, and his entire life giving him a second chance to live meaningfully. Jake looked into Titan's eyes, and emotion overwhelmed him. He knew no words could fully express his gratitude for this dog, but he still wanted to say one thing. He leaned down, gently patted Titan's head, and said, his voice choked with emotion, "Thank you, Titan. I will always protect you like you protected me. You're my best friend." As if fully understanding those words, Titan wagged his tail gently, looking at Jake with tender eyes, needing no reply. That wag of the tail confirmed that Titan would always be by his side, whether in tough times or moments of joy. The bond between Jake and Titan was not just the connection of a man and a dog. It was a deep attachment, a wordless friendship filled with understanding and unconditional loyalty. Jake smiled as he looked into Titan's eyes, and in that moment, he felt that they would always be friends, never to part. Nothing could ever break their friendship because it was built on a foundation of loyalty, sacrifice, and endless love. As each day passed, their bond grew stronger and more resilient, and both of them knew that no matter how life changed, they would always be each other's loyal companion. Finally, Jake stood up, reaching out to gently pat Titan's back once more. "We'll always be together," he whispered. Titan lifted his head to look at Jake, his bright eyes shining, his ears standing upright, as if to confirm that this promise would always be true. They were friends, and would walk through life together, a journey that would never be lonely. Jake had never felt such a strong sense of friendship. Titan was always there to protect and love him, whether in physical or emotional pain. It wasn't just his family or the doctors who helped him overcome this hardship. It was Titan, the friend, who had helped him regain his life, and now the friend who helped him regain his faith. The warmth from Titan soothed the pain in Jake's heart, making him feel that not only had he survived, but he had also been given a new chance, a new life with his loyal companion by his side. Their connection grew ever tighter, no longer just the relationship between a man and a dog, but a deep bond between two kindred spirits. The story of Jake and Titan, two friends without words but full of loyalty, ends with a powerful, eternal connection. No matter how the world changes or challenges keep coming, their friendship remains unbreakable. Titan, the resilient and courageous hunting dog, was not only the friend who saved Jake's life, but also the protector, the priceless source of encouragement in his recovery journey. And Jake, not just a person saved, but a loyal friend, always giving love and protection to Titan. The friend who never left his side. Even in the most desperate moments, Titan's bright eyes and Jake's affectionate gaze are proof of a friendship without limits. A relationship that transcends all challenges. Love, loyalty, and sacrifice have bound them together, making them an invincible team despite all the harsh conditions. The friendship between man and dog doesn't always need words. It only requires actions, understanding, and peaceful moments together. And it's in these moments that life becomes meaningful, because unspoken love is the greatest strength. Jake and Titan will always be a testament to unbreakable bonds, and their story will remind us that sometimes the best friends are those who don't speak, but are always ready to sacrifice everything to protect and care for us. True friendship knows no distance, no boundaries. It's just an invisible connection built on trust and loyalty. And so the story of Jake and Titan ends, but their friendship will continue forever. Not only in this life, but also in the hearts of everyone who believes in the power of love and loyalty.